Hello, everyone. One of the big stories on Kyiv Post website today is a statement from a senior EU official saying that European intelligence now has evidence that China had trained Russian soldiers for the war in Ukraine. And we're not talking about a couple here and there. We are talking hundreds of them. According to the intelligence uncovered, these training sessions took place in several places in China. And of course, China is denying all of it. And I can see why, because they didn't train those guys too well, did they? Because they're dying like flies. They're dropping off. So, if I was China and I trained somebody for a war and then those soldiers proved to be incompetent, I'd be embarrassed to admit it too. Speaking of foreign aid, so before everybody blows their fuse on this subject, yes, it is true that in addition to boosting the salaries and revamping the contracts for the existing Ukrainian soldiers, Zelensky also said he would like to bring in more foreign recruits. And we already know Russia had brought in foreign recruits. What is the difference? The difference is that nobody is inviting anybody to fight in Ukraine under false pretenses. The only foreign recruits who were told where they were going and what more or less they would be doing were the ones from North Korea. And even they didn't realize just how bad it was going to be. In the vast majority of other cases, when evidence surfaced that foreign recruits from other countries, most of them third world countries, ended up at the Ukrainian front, they had no idea what they were signing up for. They were lured to Russia under false pretenses with promises of lucrative jobs and possibly the ability to move their families to Russia, hoping for better living conditions. Instead, they ended up turning into a sunflower somewhere near Kharkiv or in the Donetsk region. So that is the big difference. When Zelensky says, we would like to bring foreign military personnel, he says exactly that. We have a war on, we have a manpower shortage. Would anyone like to come and join us? Nobody's forcing anybody. Nobody's, lying to anybody. And all of the information about what's going on in Ukraine is available to them. It is up to those people to decide if they want to come and if they want to risk those odds. Big difference. So, the funds from that big 90 billion euro loan are getting ready to start flowing this month. And that is the money that is going to be used to raise the salaries for the military. I mentioned Moldova recently. Like Ukraine, Moldova is in talks with the EU to join the EU for the same reasons as Ukraine wants to join the EU. They're sick and tired of the pressure from Russia. Except, as I mentioned before, Moldova is even in an even worse predicament than Ukraine. It's a much smaller country with much fewer resources. Well, ambassadors from 27 countries of the EU agreed on Friday to advance membership talks with both of them. The first phase of the negotiations is to begin on Monday. And again, I would like to point out, look at the actions. Look at who your friends are. Look at what Ukraine has been able to do for the world and for the European Union specifically. Look at the sacrifices it's taken. Ukraine has proven with its actions that it is a sound ally and that it deserves to be part of the European community. Because this whole thing, remember, I have to remind people about this the entire time. This whole thing started with the opposition to Ukraine's then pro-Russian President Yanukovych, who disrupted a trade deal between Ukraine and European Union. People are saying, oh, it's a proxy war by NATO. No! It all began back in 2013. First of all, Yanukovych did steal the election, and there is an evidence to that end, with the help of Russia's interference. And then in 2013, in the fall, there was supposed to be a trade deal that would expand Ukraine's relationship with the European countries, which was canceled at the last moment thanks to Putin. Because he didn't want Ukraine going that way, and Yanukovych was one of his cronies. And Ukrainian people said, you know what, fuck this shit, enough. We already voted in 1991 to not be doing this. We don't want to be Russia's mini-me. That's how it started. And what followed then, the Euromaidan, the annexation of Crimea, all of it was the fallout from the fact that Ukraine chose to associate its political and economic and cultural future with Europe rather than with Russia. So, all of that considered, I think Ukraine had proven itself more than worthy of being a member of the European Union. Now, Putin, for the first time, had acknowledged that, yes, Ukrainian strikes were making a dent in Russian economy. Now, he's still in denial. He's saying, first of all, he said it's to sow confusion and inflict economic damage. Actually, no, they're not looking to sow confusion, just the economic damage. There's nothing confusing about it. You invaded a country, the country is pushing back. Nothing confusing about it. It's very plain. But he's saying they will not succeed. Honey, they're already succeeding. Have you looked at your crude oil revenues lately? Have you looked at the lines at the gas stations in your own country, not even in the occupied territories? These comments came only hours after Kyiv said it hit a major oil refinery more than 1,000 kilometers, about 620 miles from the front lines. Now, Putin says, yeah, they had, some economic damage, but everything is quickly restored. That is a lie. No, nothing is quickly and nothing is restored. He's lying. He's trying to pretend like this has nothing to do with him. He's trying to pretend like this is just, peanuts. So, and again, the border regions are getting slammed too. And here's the thing. So at first, people of Russia thought that none of this would affect them at all. Then they thought maybe it's just going to affect the border regions. And now it's affecting all of them. And it's starting to sink in. Meanwhile, the UK is planning to fully ban diesel and jet fuel made in Russia next year, or by next year. It's a little bit of a soft ban. There's still some provisions on and off, but you know what? I'll take it. It's a good first step. More to come.